Earlier on in the week, I think it was on Tuesday to be specific, there was a very inspiring story, because we need inspiring stories in our country. I believe there was an inspiring story about a lady whom that newspaper called a go-getter. Her name is Gladys Mawoneke. She is the founder of a beverage, non-alcoholic a beverage called BREVA. Like I said, it's an alcohol-free beverage. But when I read that story, I thought, wow, this is interesting. I mean, when people talk about conquering their fear, these are the types of people that would be able to confidently talk about how to conquer your fear, how to go for your dreams, how to achieve the things that you want to achieve in life. And we thought that perhaps it would be good for us to bring her onto the program to talk about the company, to talk about how she got to where she currently is right now, because she wants to expand even further. So we thought that it would be very important for us to bring in some of these inspirational stories. Sometimes we focus more of our attention on issues that upset us, on issues that in most cases do not make a difference in our lives. And therefore we decided that Gladys will be our guest tonight. Gladys, good evening to you, ma'am. How are you?
Good evening to you, Tabi. So how are you? And good evening to the listeners as well.
We are very fine. I'm sure you'll agree with some of us that sometimes in this country we don't look back to give attention enough to people like yourselves who are providing us with inspirational stories, but we tend to focus on issues that make us angry, that make us want to pull out our hair, and so on and so forth, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and there are so many inspirational stories to tell, and thank you for having me on the show.
Tell us about your story. I mean, I read about it in the newspaper. Tell us about your wonderful product, BREVA.
Well, tell me so. BREVA is a malt drink that I developed over 3 years. 3 years of research, 3 years of trying to understand the South African market. And to understand whether there was a need for a drink such as this in this country, and to understand what exactly the South African market prefers in terms of testing, test profile. It's alcohol-free. Alcohol-free because over 65% of South Africans do not consume alcohol. And yet these people, they want something that is adult, both in terms of look, in terms of feel, so it was developed to fill that market, the gap in the market.
I see. And I mean, I'm sure this is not necessarily a groundbreaking idea. I'm sure there are other people who came up with an idea like this one. What made your product tick? Because I see you also are selling your product at leading retail stores, your Pick n Pay, ShopRite, Checkers and stuff.
Well, to be honest, we went back to the basics. And what's good about our product really is the taste. We are providing consumers with a beautiful tasting product because that's what consumers deserve. And also, we have also been quite brave in actually saying we're targeting people who do not consume alcohol, because these people, they want something that is premium. They want something that they can badge with. You know, when you go out, sometimes you want a brand that speaks to who you are. And I found, well, with myself, that whenever I went out, there was very little for me to choose from that could be part of my brand. So I ended up ordering the same type of drinks that I was given in what I call baby glasses with a straw. And if you're an executive in an executive meeting, that really dilutes who you are as an adult. So we're brave enough to say, you know what, there's 65% of us who feel this way. And let's have something that is premium, something that we can be proud of to drink when we're out and about. Because normally, I think you agree with me, when you're out, people, when you order something that is not alcoholic, people will think you're a party pooper, or you know. So we're saying it's okay. You know, I have something now that I am proud to hold. When I have my friends, whether I'm at a braai or whether I'm hosting my friends or whether I'm at a lunch in the boardroom or anywhere else for that matter. So that together with a beautiful taste profile, I think sets us apart. Yeah,
and I've also realized through the article that there is a certain stubbornness about you, but positive stubbornness, because you are a journalist. You also studied law at Rhodes University. You are an admitted attorney, and you've got a master's in business and leadership from UNISA School of Business and Leadership. Apart from that, you've tried other business ideas, from baking chocolate bread to selling unpasteurized amasi. You've tried all kinds of things, and you still want to grow. I mean, what does it take? Does it really take that much of stubbornness for you to succeed as a person?
I think I think it takes perseverance. You see, I always knew at some point that my music was in business, but I didn't have the capital. Firstly, and secondly, I realized that I needed evidence, something to say that, well, I have tried business for the time when I was going to jump the ship from corporate. So I tried all these things, and in order to build up that history. But unfortunately, they were not well thought out. That's the one thing. I think that's the most important lesson I learned. Because every time I tried these things and they failed, I learned something out of them. And that was that I needed to do my research properly, and I needed to think through my ideas. Some of the ideas, the amasi idea, I thought was a good idea because there was a gap in the market for an unpasteurized amasi. There's a lot of pasteurized amasi, but our people who grew up eating unpasteurized amasi can tell the difference between the two. Because it has a beautiful taste. So I had found that gap in the market, but again, I had not done my research because when I did that, when we tried to commercialize it, that's when we realized that we're not allowed to sell unpasteurized milk in the jurisdiction of Cape Town.
Yeah. How much of a role does fear play in setting up a successful business or in venturing into the business sector?
You know, before I ventured, I used to say that I was going to resign on my birthday, and I think I went through 5 birthdays saying exactly the same thing. Every single year, I used to say, on my birthday, I'm going to resign and start.
Yeah.
But I thought I never had enough money. Until someone told me, and I was afraid because I thought, where am I going to get money for my bond? Where am I going to get money to pay for this and that if I resign? That's why I never resigned for so long. Until someone told me that if your excuse is that you don't have money, then either your idea is not a good idea or you are really not passionate about what it is that you want to do. And then something happened in the corporate environment that made me realize that actually I was not in the right space. So I resigned, and I still didn't have enough money, but I believed in myself. And I remember when I resigned, I was called into one of my leaders' office, and he said, "What if it fails?" And I said to him, "There's no room for failure." And I knew I had to live by that. So firstly, there was the fear of fearing to leave, and then secondly, after I had left, there was a fear of failing, that I cannot fail. So passion and fear sometimes also drives us to push further because we cannot afford to fail. We cannot afford to fail.
The reason I'm asking you this question is that, it becomes easier, particularly if you are an executive in a company. It becomes very difficult for you to imagine a world where you don't have whatever it is, the car that you're driving, living in the same area that you're living in, and your kids going to a particular school which is exclusive to people like yourselves. And it becomes also difficult to find time to measure up whether these good ideas that you have, whether they will work or not. That is why I suppose it also took you 5 birthdays until you decided this is it.
Yes, yeah, no, absolutely. Once you jump ship, I think at whichever level, whether you're at an executive level or whether you're at a junior level, there has to be some sort of adjustment in lifestyle. Because unless you're in some sort of consulting company that allows you to earn revenues immediately, it takes a while before you start earning a decent income, because you're putting all you have into the business. So
yeah. Now, I mean, how do you identify your right passion, or is it, do you try things as you go along? Because some people know that they want to be in the business space, they want to be independent, they want to do things for themselves, and they can do it, but sometimes they find it difficult to identify the right areas for themselves.
Well, I think that's a rather difficult one. I think, well, with myself, I think, and probably with other people, you have to listen to your guts. And if something keeps up cropping over and over again, then I think you'll need to listen to it. But you'll only realize you've got a passion for whatever it is if you wake up without an income, with threat of not having food on the table, fighting every day, but still willing to wake up and fight for it. If you're still willing to fight for whatever it is that you're doing, because it takes a lot of, there are some struggles that come along. If you're willing to go through those struggles, then you know you've got a passion for it. But if you're not willing to fight a bit, then you've got no passion for what it is that you're doing. If you can't wake up in the morning, because when you're an entrepreneur, you have to motivate yourself. No one motivates yourself. And if you're not able to be motivated by what you're doing, then you don't have the passion for it.
Let's go back to your product, which is BREVA. Can some of us who are far away, provinces like Limpopo, get to experience and support you? Because I think that's what you deserve.
Well, thank you very much. From the 4th of June, we're going to be available all the way to the corners of this country, except to the four corners of this country. And then a little later, then we're going to be in KwaZulu-Natal. So from the 4th of June, we're going to be in Limpopo as well, in the Pick and Pays in Limpopo. We also manufacture another product for Woolworths. And I'm sure you can go to your nearest Woolworths as well and look for a malt drink called the Woolworths Malt drink.
Good stuff. We will support you. Now, I want you to talk to young people, in terms of what is education really important for those that want to get education and get into business, or your drive is just enough? Because I see you also prioritized education here.
Yes, I did. I would encourage. I love coaching young people, particularly young girls, and I would encourage that you have a solid foundation, because a solid foundation allows you to speak with confidence in any forum, because you're going to get into forums and that you need to be confident about. It opens up doors, particularly for us as Black Africans as well. It gives you credibility.
So education is indeed important.
So I would recommend that they have a solid foundation and get into business. They can still start business while they are still in school. It doesn't mean you have to wait until you finish your education. You can still do both at the same time, but still have a solid foundation. That is my advice.
Beautiful stuff. Thank you very much. We will support your product. It's called BREVA. There's another one in Woolworths stores. You said it's called Woolworths. What is it called? Malt.
Woolworths non-alcoholic malt drink.
Beautiful stuff. Good luck with your business. We wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Tabiso, and thank you to you and the listeners as well.
Yeah, but before you go, I'm sure there are women who are inspired, who are listening to you, who would want to do something with a person like yourself, or who would want to get an advice or two. I mean, do you have an email address, a website, perhaps, where people can interact with you?
In fact, Tabiso, one of the things I do is mentor and share my story.
Nice.
So I'm quite happy, particularly with young girls. I'm quite happy to mentor young girls, and my email address is Gladys.
Gladys?
At BUMI group.
BUMI group. .com. Okay, I've got it.
And to share my experiences with other women as well, because I also grow in the process.
Beautiful stuff. So it's Gladys at BUMIgroup.com, yeah?
Yes, at bumigroup.com.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Good luck once again. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Tabiso.
Beautiful stuff. There you go. Very inspirational. I suppose you agree with that. I mean, here is a woman who prioritized education. At some point, she decided to take that big jump, or to go for that big leap and start her own business. Tried several things, but she didn't give up. She says the key is perseverance. And if you want to get in touch with her, her email address is Gladys at bumigroup.com. Bumi as in BUMI group.com.